Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Hope you had a great weekend. As indeed, I imagine the same for my guests this morning, Mr. Yemi Makpadeon and what is Ahmed? Is he Sheikh? Is he Mukandam? Is he Malam?
Malam.
Okay, let's go with Malam.
Teacher.
Malam Ahmed Moyosore Jaji, political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on. Strategy and governance expertise is the field of Yemi Makpadeon. So, gentlemen, here we are. Last week, in fact, I think Yemi was part of the numerous conversations we had on security last week, and one of the ones that jumped out was the Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, commenting on the work ethic of some of his troops, especially in the front up there in the northeast. And there was a lot of criticism that, look, why are you demoralizing our guys? These are not, this is not the way a leader leads. And there was a lot. But he made the remark at the beginning of an army conference on leadership. Now, at the closing of the conference, I'm imagining that, look, there was an opportunity, if indeed he saw it from the way of the public outcry, to either be quiet about the matter or offer further clarification by the matter. But indeed, the general doubled down and said it again, and reminded the participating soldiers that, remember I said this at the beginning, I'm going to have to reiterate it. And then subsequently, Army spokesperson Sagir says that the Army is 110% behind the Chief of Army Staff. So it goes back to something I was sort of imagining that, look, was the general trying to put out a difficult fact? Because everybody said that's not the way you go about those kind of sensitive matters. Was it in exasperation that, look, this has gone beyond us and the people have to know? Give me your impression, if you will, Yemi, on the general, first of all, speaking. Just about every Nigerian who is proud of our boys in uniform thought that, without being an expert in it, that's hardly the way to go. And then the general doubling down and reminding us again. And then the army itself, through its spokesman, saying, we back the general in everything he said. What do you think is going on here?
Well, let me say I'm not surprised, and it is not surprising that there is a lot of hues and cries over the army chief's public comment, even though he was talking to people in his primary constituency. It is not every time that the service chief makes comment about his troops, particularly with regards to the morale of the troop. Every general wants to convey the impression that all is well, even when there are challenges, in the force. And so I also know that the Chief of Army Staff knows all that I have said. And so what happened last week wasn't really a slip of the tongue. But I can also say, when I have the opportunity of delving into things like this, that we can see somebody's body language. We can see a leader's action. We can hear a leader's speech. But it is very difficult to know what the strategy is beyond all of this, because strategy is elusive, and it is not something you can touch. But you can see actions which may not really be enough for you to judge where it's coming from. However, there are two sides, to the coin here. Because the Chief of Army Staff made that remark on the opening day and reiterated it on the closing day. And the fact that it was made in the full glare of the media means that it is not something he wanted to keep from the public. There is a deliberate intention to play the issue of the morale of the soldiers up. And I think...
You sort of put it out there.
Yes, to put it out there. Now, what people are concerned about is that, number one, what implications will that have, for the military itself, the soldiers, the fighting force? And then what implications does it also have? Or what kind of impact, what kind of message are we sending? What kind of signal is the enemy going to pick from that? Because if your general says your morale is low, it means this could be the best time, to strike. Because the willingness to fight certainly will not be there. Now, it's difficult for anyone to know what the situation really is. But I want to say that from what we can see from the outside, it is unfortunate that it is coming from the chief and it's in the public domain. But it is also true that the Nigerian military is not well appreciated, it is not well compensated, and it is not well remunerated. There is no doubt about that. Once in a while, a government comes and gives a spike, to the remuneration of the military, and momentarily, you see the kind of, the increase, the surge, in their willingness, and their pride in wearing that uniform. Today, we have a lot of them who are doing so many other things to make money, to survive. And that is not the way it is in the other armies that we know, other militaries that we know. In fact, it's a thing of pride to wear that uniform of your country's military. And for you to not to even bother about how you survive, how your family survives, is one thing that is guaranteed. We cannot say the same of the Nigerian military today. Okay. That may be one of the things the Chief of Army Staff is trying to elevate to an emergency situation, okay, that will warrant an immediate response from those in authority. That is one take. Yeah.
One possibility. Well, Annette, Yemi spoke about strategy and how you often don't see the strategy, but you see the strategy in action. In other words, there's a roadmap. Not everybody might be privy to that, but having agreed that strategy, people then work on it and are carrying out actions which the people see and are able to comment on, not knowing where all of this is coming from. I wonder if you think any of this is anything like that, especially as Yemi has said, and you already know, the general doubled down on the closing ceremony. The presidency has not said anything. The chief of the defense staff has not said anything. So this is where the quote-unquote, what is it, strategy theory, let me not say conspiracy theory, comes in.
You see, we have tactics.
And as Yemi said, the general certainly knows everything that he has said about how people comport themselves with sensitive information.
As far as General Buratai was concerned at that conference, there was no Freudian slip. He intentionally said it, and on the closing day, he reiterated the same point. But when I saw it, somebody called me. I said, well, my own reaction is the man should get the job done or leave the stage. Nigerians cannot afford to be given excuses anymore. Given the quantum of our military budget that are not under any, they don't scrutinize their expenditure. And we've seen in this country where army chiefs, Air Force chiefs, naval chiefs have been convicted of embezzling what rightly belongs to the rank and file. We were in this country when our boys went to Ekomog, and some of them came back, they were complaining, they were asked to be court-martialed. But what I want to say here now is, the moment the army chief made that kind of statement, the presidency should have waded in. Because what the man is telling us indirectly is that diminishing return is setting into his leadership. And proactive measures should have been taken as at that time. In fact, what is the average lifespan of a military chief in Nigeria? We have to look back and see. For how long do they stay there? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? Buratai had been there since Buhari came on board. 4 years had gone, and we are starting another whatever. So, and when they raised the issue of security architecture of this present government, I was one of those people that said, yes, if Buhari could be taken like a chicken when he was being overthrown in 1985 and he got detained for a good 3 years. It will be very, very ungrateful, uncharitable of him this time around to now say he want to be like a seeker with his security arrangement and architecture. But the way things are going now, the job of a military leader or any leader for that matter is to, boost the morale of your boys. I have a personal experience. There is a cousin of mine who was serving in Maiduguri. That there was a particular operation they wanted to go. It was their senior officer that called them that, my friend, take money, go and take beer in Mami Market. So to a very large extent, Buratai might be right that there are black, legs within the armed forces itself. And we will buttress that with what the Americans did when they came here some few years ago as a technical assistant. They had to go away because they claimed that whatever plan they must have made, before you say Jack Robinson, Boko Haram must have been informed. So it is not for the army chief to blame the rank and file. They should take proactive measures to boost their morale, pay their emolument and salaries and whatever as at when due. Take care of their children and their family at home and whatever, then things will work out fine.
Now, for whatever it is worth, as I'm sure you would have seen in the reports that have come out, the army has said that all those questions about remuneration of military personnel and all of that, that's not it. It's because these things are being taken care of. That, at least I'm saying what the army has said.
Well,
it's like you might say, what do you expect them to say?
Whoever is in that position has to say something and has to say exactly. That's what you are paid to do. We've seen image makers don't say what.
But you can't tell an untruth. An image maker is one thing.
Yeah.
Outright lying is another.
No, but what is said, at least as
putting the best spin on the story, yes. But you can't introduce falsehood.
No, well, I'm really not expecting anyone to say, a spokesman of the military, of the army for that matter, to come out and say, well, the army is just 90% behind the chief. It's got to be 100%. 100 minimum, So the other 10 is to tell you that we can even go the extra mile for our chief. And that is how the military is structured. Now, until something untoward happens, you never test that, loyalty. But beyond the issue of loyalty, which is also a dimension, to what is happening now, it throws up, some critical questions that we should ask. In the first place, what do we really want of our military? Do we want the Nigerian military to be the kind of military that corresponds with the image of Nigeria as a giant of Africa, as the largest concentration of black people in the world? If that is what we want, then we must have the best army, not just in Africa, but in practically, all, developing worlds. Now, I have had people who have gone to some of our, neighboring countries, Chad, and they tell you that the Chadian army is an extremely tested army. It's an extremely effective, army. I've not heard of people making such reference, to the Nigerian military. And it's a combination of a lot of things, not just about the welfare. The welfare is critical, it's important. But like I, was still telling, my son yesterday that whatever profession you choose to go into, make sure it is something that you will love to do, even without being paid for it. Now, when people are being recruited, whether the ranks as rank and file or the officers, cadres, are they coming in just because they want a job? Now, I overheard a retired senior military officer on TV talking about the frustration of politicians sending their children for recruitment and dropping the standard of training to ensure that they make it. I mean, we've seen videos of military training. It's not a bread and butter
It's
thing.
not a picnic at all.
So for you to subject yourself to it, it means you grew up wanting to become a military person. Today, don't we have people who could not make it where they wanted to be, who now chose to go into the military as part of their own share, you know, of the national cake or something? So those are questions that we should really interrogate, because they are not even issues that we can solve in 5-10 years. So we need to begin today to ensure that whoever gets into the military, whether through the recruit system or through the officers' cadre system, must be people who really desire to wear that uniform and defend their country. I mean, I hear people in uniform discussing their country in ways that are, you know, unbecoming, uncharitable, making uncharitable comments about their countries. And they are serving military persons.
They're
now,
officers.
to me, it's not really their fault, because let me tell you, like the Yorubas will say, if you want to put anybody on a horseback, nobody will say, no, don't put me on a horseback. No. But you must scrutinize the kind of people you put on a horseback. Because you can't just see the military, the police, the security agencies as a place where you just push people so that they have employment. It's not. It's not. It's a serious game.
Indeed. This is quite interesting. I think it was said by the army, the spokesperson for the army, and commenting. Was it the spokesperson for the army, or usually you get those sources that don't want to be named? But the point being made was that, look, General Buratai knows what he's talking about. His complaint as it relates to the army is a first-hand one, in that a bit unusually for people of that stature, the general actually has fought alongside men on the front, on the war front, and this actually bearing arms, not just sitting in some tent somewhere away from it all and using technology to be directing. They say he actually has, borne arms and fought alongside his men, and that this was lifting to morale. But they are talking about bad eggs that will be fished out. That's the bottom line we have from the army, according to statements, that these bad eggs will be fished out. It's just that it's a bit uncanny. You don't usually hear army speaking like this and these kind of conversations going on. So that's the worrying one. But on the other side is the fact that the Chief of Army Staff has come out quite unusually, put it out there, and they're even saying that, yes, now it's out there, as if that was part of the strategy. We want, one way or the other, for the people to know that we're also contending with these kind of issues. And by the way, the Commander-in-Chief, after all, at the end of the day, is totally responsible. He hasn't said anything.
You see, if you go to I've not been there, but those who were there, they told me that on the table of the American president, there's a plaque which says that the buck stops here. And as far as the army is concerned, the buck stops on the Chief of Army
Staff's desk.
So whatever it takes him to sanitize the army, make it an efficient fighting force, is what we are after in Nigeria. We don't want excuses.
Because the nature of the challenge, as you well know,
that's what I'm saying,
is that the enemy knows too much. The enemy knows too much about our operations. We buy new armaments. They know about it. They know where to attack and all of that. So they began to look at, we got moves in here.
Let me give you one example. Like Chief Akinya, the late MKO, when he had his problem with the Nigerian
Mad Dogs
Air Force.
Is that Mad Dog story?
To show you military leadership. Those guys could have been dealt with, but what did the Chief of Air Staff said? That they said, Chief, don't worry. Those boys, they are mad dogs.
They are mad dogs.
We will deal with them. Did anybody come out to say this was how they were dealt with? Were they dismissed from the Air Force or whatever? I've seen an army officer telling his boy, my friend, you went to that man what did you say? Kai shege ni. Mesa because marriage. Why did you leave him? You should have beaten him to know that na soldier come meet him. So what we are saying now is that these people, they need leadership, which I'm very, very sorry to say is lacking. What the army spokesman is saying, Sagir or whoever, it's just like Yoruba will tell you that ìyàwó ẹ̀ ṣẹ̀ ó lọ fẹjọ́ sùn yẹ ó lọ fẹjọ́ kàsùnkà. I don't expect Sagir to say anything different from what he is saying.
Okay.
You know.
1 second, please. Let me hear Mr. George's perspective. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Thank you, and good morning to the guests there.
Good morning, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, let us recall, during the time of President Jonathan, as far back as that time, he publicly admitted that Boko Haram has infiltrated even his cabinet. So the issue of bad eggs in the army is not new. What I expect the Chief of Army Staff to do is to act and not to complain, just as Madam Jage pointed out. Sift the good ones and the bad ones apart, take care of the good ones and deal with the bad ones. The good ones should be motivated. I have said it before that every soldier should be insured to the tune of at least 20 million naira. In case anything happens to any of them, the families should not suffer.
Yes.
That and some other similar motivations should be put in place for those who are ready to serve. Those that are not ready to serve, you should revitalize your strategy of recruitment, in those ones out, and make sure you bring in people that are ready to serve this country. In the UK, Uncle Yori, for example, the average family is proud to have one of their members in the police force, not to talk of the army, because of the honor and incentives that are attached to it. We can do that here. We have what it takes. Those that are ready to work, give them the necessary arms to work. And those that are not ready, the chief of staff, the chief of army staff knows those that are bad eggs. If he can complain about them, it means he can fish them out. Let him fish them out, deal with them, get them out of the system, and encourage those that are ready to work. It's simple. So why if you are coming to the public to complain, you are indirectly telling us that your capacity to deal with problems is diminishing. So that is what the Commander-in-Chief should look into.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. And maybe this also leads to the other aspects of the story, which almost is like tittle-tattle, because one doesn't really know, but then you begin to hear of, look, maybe it's time for General Buratai, among other service chiefs to, take his exit, so that we can get, I think, what they refer to in football as fresher legs, that kind of a thing. Yeah. That's one way of looking at it. But as I said, the Commander-in-Chief, who is aware of everything going on about his army, our army, has not said anything yet. And when we go to the whole matter of fish out the bad eggs, as the army has said it is going to do, I don't know how easy that is going to be, especially in the light of what you guys said, that, look, there's the other idea, the other problem of people getting, the elite getting their own wards and children into the army, and maybe these, if that is indeed the case, there's going to be a problem. You know how difficult it is to downsize, right size. Immediately people begin to go all over the place behind the backs and model the whole place up. It's just like what we do in Nigeria. Let anybody announce anywhere that, we got to right size this company. Oh, a flurry of activities, begin to happen. And before you know, whoever was in charge just doesn't know what's going on anymore. And you could very easily end up exactly where you were from the beginning. So I don't know. It seems like logical stuff that Mr. George is saying. Fish out those bad ones, as you have said you will. But, do you think Buratai needs to excuse himself?
Look, this is serious business that we're doing here. And we are discussing the destiny of this nation. And we are attaching as much seriousness as we can attach to anything. to this issue. And so this really is not about personalities. It is about the right thing to do. Now, if the chief, General Buratai, and I say it everywhere, for somebody to rise to even become a major or equivalent in the military, he must have gone through, extensive training in leadership, in strategy. And such people should be able to manage any institution. In actual fact, I don't know how many people recall that the very first chief of the air staff we have in Nigeria was a flight lieutenant. And that, the young people, the young military men who took Nigeria by storm, in the 60s, were of the rank of, major and below. And so the military training is structured in such a way that even as a rank and file, by the time you become a sergeant, right, or a staff sergeant, you're already a leader of men and resources. So I don't want to belittle the competence, the capacity, the qualification of any general in Nigeria. But the truth is that after 4 years, if after 4 years I speak about bad eggs and I complain about morale, it means that I have done all I could do to address those issues.
And finally,
I'm
putting
persisted.
it out there.
I'm putting it out. So it is part of an exit, strategy, the way I look at it.
Okay, Mr. Agu in Plateau, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. I want to lay my position as a Nigerian in respect of the discourse. In fact, if we are talking of Buratai saying that bad eggs will be phased out in the military, I want to start by asking question. Where was Buratai when Nigeria recorded genocide? Where was Buratai when federal government budgeted money to make sure arm and ammunition that will make them call Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, and banditry in Nigeria was fully done? The third one, military in Nigeria is polarized, and as fans, they diverted a lot of allowances that is meant for the soldiers. You are aware in this country, instead of one battalion, if a battalion is taken to northern part of Nigeria, instead of the 1,000, they will deploy only the 150 or 200 armies. And those 150 or 200 armies will be killed. Allowances of 1,000 people will be siphoned to their personal use. Today, the man is saying that they are ready to fetch bad eggs. Who are the bad eggs? These are the questions. As far as I'm concerned, Buratai is all ready to serve this nation, and he is subject to be sacked by the president with immediate effect, because he failed this country and he has done nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Agu, are you from the military yourself?
Yes.
Sir?
Are you from the military yourself?
Yes.
No, I am not.
Okay. Because you were speaking so knowledgeably and passionately about it, I thought,
yes,
and authoritatively.
It is emotional because I am not a military man, but I have brothers and sisters who are in the system. And as far as I'm a Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian. I believe in good governance. I believe in justice. I believe in the progress of this nation, because we are doing this thing just like you said. It's not personal. It's about the country. So if people do not have the country at heart, there is need for we to say the truth, and the truth shall set us free. Look at a lot of information that is subjected to the military high. Let me ask you, get it right. How many of your children, high-ranking military officers, are in that war front? Most of them are ADCs to the governor, ADCs to the GTOs, ADCs to all high-ranking positions. Where are they part of those that are dying like chickens at that war front? Are you telling me Nigeria as a country will not cop Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, and banditry as a country? That one is a blatant lie. It's business without content. Until when they will repent and tell Nigerians the truth, all these things will come to pass.
Thank you. you very much, Mr. Agu. I first of all got it wrong. I thought it was an Igbo name, Agu, but hearing him speak and seeing the spelling, thank you very much for your contribution. It seemed passionate and it seemed knowledgeable, but then he declined membership, admitting membership. But as he said, I have very, very close relatives that are in the army. I'll take a break now. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back and we'll continue to take your calls. Okay, welcome back. Yamin Makpadono and Ahmed Moyasore Jaji still in the house, and we're looking at, the reiteration of the Chief of Army Staff's criticism of some men on the in the theater of war up in the Northeast as not giving 100%. In fact, apart from not giving 100%, quite frankly, he saw them as part of the problem and has said that they will fish out the bad eggs. Gentlemen, let's come now to, if we had a civilian president, which indeed we do have, but we have a president who is a retired general in the army, who knows the nooks and crannies of the army, who knows everything there is to know about the army. It's a very close society, I might deign to say. So they know, we know what they want us to know, but now the things that are being said, take Mr. Agwo, who called in and was quite knowledgeable in what he was saying. So what doesn't the president know? And I'm talking here about the commander-in-chief. So what's the commander-in-chief's part of all of this?
Well, it's actually in taking decisions, difficult decisions, as it were. Now, I also recall, just now, that just before the inauguration of the president for the second term, he had an interview with the national, television. And he also made reference to his disappointment with the commitment of the military. He made reference to his time, the passion, the commitment, the diligence. And he said he wondered how the military became what it is. Obviously, there had been some form of discussions along this line. So what General Buratai actually said had been hinted, even by the president himself. But beyond hinting us, or beyond telling us these are the problems, we also want them to lead us in solving the problem. And one of the ways of solving the problems, is to take difficult decisions. For me, if you ask me, from as a leadership person, I could see that General Buratai will not mind leaving office even as we speak today. Perhaps he has attempted to and persuaded, to stay. Because the duty of fishing out the bad eggs is actually the duty of the military command, right? The president as the commander-in-chief appoints the service chiefs. He doesn't run the military. So there must be a deep-seated frustration by the army chief
that led to him,
that will make a general
going public,
complain publicly about the soldiers.
One moment, please. I'm sorry for interrupting a bit. SEGUN in Kaduna, good morning. You've been holding on for a while. Good morning, SEGUN in Kaduna.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Please go ahead.
Uncle Yori, God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. All right. So I'm following the program up, and I think we have dwelled enough on all of these challenges. Because if you ask me, any challenge you see is just a single thing, just the challenge. But solutions is enormous. Now, one of the solutions I want to bring up this morning is, you see, we have institutions, paramilitary institutions, that are running right now. These guys are regimented, they are loyal, their morals are high, that you can simply just divert to the Nigerian army, let them do this work. And our leaders know these things. But I don't know why they are, a kind of
dodging or pretending as if they don't know. Now you want to recruit, you go outside and recruit these guys. These guys will even buy their way over into the military. Somebody that paid a lot of money to get this job, what do you think that person will do when he gets the job? You understand me, sir? Take, for example, Maritime Academy of Nigeria. These guys are trained. They have everything. Little training to fit into this system, and you see everything will work out well. See Nigerian military school in Zaria. But these guys will still struggle, pay money before they will get this job done. You want me to come and work for you, and I will go through all this stress. When I come in, the morale will definitely be low.
Okay, SEGUN, thank you very much for your contribution. It looks like people are, among other things, pointing now at the recruitment processes, especially Mr. Agu, who said that, look, all those children of the elite that you're talking about, they don't come out to the war front. They are busy being ADCs, allegedly, to ensure they have the cushy jobs. They have the nice air-conditioned jobs. And meanwhile, you might have your rank mate who is out there and is one of those complaints.
You see, the luck some of us have is that we were young boys before 1966. Hitherto, it's only riffraffs that do join the army, with the exception of the establishment in the north. I mean, when I say the big boys, the emirs and whatever that had foresight, they put their children. Otherwise, it's son of, ordinary people that, and the same thing in down south, until the 1966 coup and the July whatever, the counter coup. Before it was, military was meant for the sons and daughters of never do well, the masses. But now, because it has become very, very lucrative, it's another avenue to seize power if the chance is seized upon. Everybody now wants to. But the fact still remains that the Nigerian army, I grew up to know, it's not like this, was not like this. And something drastically must be done to revive that esprit de corps.
In fact, there's hardly any institution that
very,
you want to take
lacking.
back to 66, and you can say in 90, where we are in 2019, it has not changed dramatically, and usually not by way of improvement, according to comments.
Yes.
But Mr. Abubakar in Maiduguri, good morning, sir. Abubakar, Maiduguri, good morning, sir. I thought they said Mr. Abubakar was on the line from Maiduguri. Well, there you go. So maybe, I don't know if you can hear us. We can't hear you. We don't know what's going on. So where is this going to end? Buratai, bad eggs must go. There are those who have said General Buratai himself should consider, excusing himself. Although one doesn't know how good a case that would be, because there are things that we are not privy to. And I made the point, and Yemi has suggested that, the commander-in-chief hinted at matters before. Mr. Abubakar, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, please go ahead. You're on air now. Go ahead, please. Mr. Abubakar, can I help you? You can't listen to yourself or watch yourself on television while you're trying to communicate with us. You're going to have to help us out here.
Just talk on.
Can you do that? Abubakar. Well, we tried our best. Sorry about that. So, because so what bad eggs must go? Yeah, we know, but when are they going to go? How are they going to go? Are they going to go easily? Or is it going to be a real battle? Is everybody going to be pulling in the same direction?
Look, Mr. Ori, the Nigerian military is not immune from the general societal malaise that we find ourselves.
It's a Nigerian institution.
Now, we must, submit, that every institution in Nigeria, including religious and traditional institutions are heavily politicized. Heavily politicized. And that has happened over a period of time. And there is no way we're going to have a magic wand to reverse the situation. And that is why for us, what we should be talking about is for us to say we don't want things to be done the same way again at the strategic level.
Yeah, but we said that at the strategic level in relation to corruption.
That's what
what traction have we got?
No. Don't let us go into the elements of strategy making, because
we will bring in judiciary.
because no, I said every institution in Nigeria.
Look,
you just mentioned the judiciary.
Gentlemen, let me quickly. I beg your pardon. Let me quickly bring in Abubakar.
It's Reverend Dominic.
It's Reverend Dominic in ALIMOSHO here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Yemi.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend, Malam Jaji.
Good morning, sir.
Malam Jaji, grammar aside, let me support the man Agu that called from Plateau State. Yori, I was in the petrol station on Friday to buy petrol. I saw this beautiful bus, this beautiful school bus, and it was Noah, that's Nigerian Women Association, blah, 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 school. Do you know who donated that bus? Boldly on the side of the bus was written, donated by Mrs. Buratai. I get angry to myself. The Buratai wife has budget to donate millions of buses to Nigerian Noah schools in Nigeria. What I'm trying to say, I'll say it before here, let me say it again. And quote me, Reverend Dominic, he can take me to court. Buratai has become a problem himself. If his wife is donating vehicles to schools of Noah, of Nigerian ministers, where did she get the money? That Mrs. Buratai is donating buses and put her picture both on the buses. Where do you get the money? Do Buratai wife get conditions allowance of budget in the Nigerian army? Buratai has become a problem himself. I said it last 2 months. Why am I saying that? I'm a part of this government in quote as APC. This is the first time I supported a president who won the election. And I'm going to tweet. The day Mr. President won the election in 1st 2015, my wife did not give me food because it was active supporter of Jonathan. But I don't care, it's a national issue. Buratai has become a problem. Do you know why I say that? Could you understand, Yori? How could a ragtag army will fight Nigerian army in their own barracks, defeat them, take their armament, take their ammunition, kill our boys? I've been saying this all over again. There's sabotage in the military that makes the best army in Africa lose battle to nobody. It's painful. Buratai must go. Buratai must go. Buratai must go for Buhari to succeed. This security issue here is giving everyone concern. We can't sleep here. We lose people every day. I'm a pastor. I can't go to North again. If you're going, the country comes and says, please, pastor, stay there. We cannot assure your life. How could we live in a nation where we cannot preach? Those that we used to preach in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Medjugorje. And when you preach, people receive Jesus. Today, you cannot go there and preach gospel. Because if you're not bandit, you're the priest. Who help me in this English? What is different from a bandit and a terrorist, an armed robber, a kidnapper? What's the different thing? Why are we speaking this English? And I put that every day. Buratai has become a problem himself. He should go. If there's a bad egg, he's number one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. A bit on the angry side this morning. I don't know. I would like to say that perhaps the first point that he made about the bus and the description of the bus, maybe we can put that to one side. That might be the subject of another conversation. But what we're looking at here is the situation in the army itself. And the army, look, what is an army but a fighting force? They don't fight every day. But they tell us that it is in peacetime that you prepare for a war. And so they prepared for it. And now all this preparation, the chief is saying is unsatisfactory. Without prejudice to Reverend Dominic's contribution, but he anchored it more on Buratai and some aspects of his private life, which indeed might be the subject of a genuine conversation, but it's not today. No. Today, we're looking at, he ended up there that it is his opinion. He phrased it differently, but that Buratai might consider excusing himself.
Beyond whoever is beyond the dramatist personnel. I mean, I always talk about, the system, the structure.
Thank you for going there. So we brought another person who is Rataibu.
Buratai.
Does that immediately sort our problems out?
It might.
Now
It
you might have
It has a whole infrastructure to deal with.
when you look at the phenomenon of change, yes, when you change the dramatics personnel in a situation, there is a kind of ephemeral relief, right? Which is not necessarily an outcome of any strategy of any action. Let me give you a typical example. The moment General Buhari became president-elect in 2015, there was a debilitating fuel crisis that disappeared without any action, any pronouncement.
Yes.
There was stability in power supply. The policemen on the streets became very civil. And that lasted for about 3 months.
That was when we coined body language.
And somebody jokingly told me that in those 3 months, the president could actually have escaped with blue murder, and everybody will still say that's the way to go. Now, so those things will happen, but then, are they sustainable when you bring a new person? So we need to dig deeper to address the core of the issue. And I think, for many Nigerians, we know what the problem is.
Yes.
But do we have the political will?
Thank you. I was going
the
to say
courage.
Yes.
We
We start setting up all sorts of
it
committees,
is taking,
but we
it
know
is taking
exactly
us
what the
a lot
problem
of
is.
courage to say what we are saying here now.
Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling.
Madam Judge, good morning, and then Mr. Mapademu.
Good morning, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Mapademu said something earlier, which I think is very, very important. Whether I really support Reverend Dominic, but whether Reverend Dominic says that Buratai must go or not, indirectly, the chief of armed staff is trying to telling us that it is already tired of that job. Because if you said you are going to fish out the bad egg, you could have done that secretly within the armed force, not coming out publicly telling Nigerian citizens there is a bad egg within ourselves. Let me tell you, Shivyori, the people that committed to the Nigerian army, fighting in Borno State, fighting in other states in the north, see, Shivyori, they are just ordinary citizens of this country that has wife, have children. Mr. Just say something, which is very important also, that they need to insure these people. Assuming that you give them insurance, life insurance, that if anything bad happens to you, at least you have 20 million down for your family. Go and look at those people that have already laid their life for this country. Look at where their wives, their children are there today. They are struggling to live, and then the chief of armed staff coming out today and telling us they are not committed enough. Usually, the Mr. President that we voted for, as Reverend Dominic said, we all voted for Mr. President. Some of us, we know what we are facing in our own locality here because we supported Mr. President. Mr. President needs to do the needful. If your chief of armed staff telling you that, ironically, he's tired of the job, what you need to do is to relieve his job, to let him go. I give kudos to Chief of Hairstyle, this person of Abubakar Siddiq. The man is done very, very well, I can tell you that. Because if Chief of Hairstyle says the same thing, what do you think is going to happen in this country? Let me tell you, the Boko Haram that we are discussing today that they are terrorizing Nigerian citizens, they have the access to the media. They know what is going on in the media. If the chief of the admin staff of this country come on the media and telling Nigerian citizens that their staff are not committed enough, what do you think is going on the mind of the Boko Haram that are terrorizing us? They will be keeping themselves that, yes, we are winning the war. That is the right way. If your chief of armed force says that my member are not committed enough, the Boko Haram are not beginning to jubilate that we are winning the war. So, in a nutshell, the Mr. President needs to do the needful. This second time around, we are not going to take any mistake because we supported him, because we know he can solve the problem, especially when we are talking about security. For failure to solve this problem of security, all of us that we supported him, we will begin to withdraw our support, even though he has the 4 years to rule this country, and then we can be able to say that we've supported you, but you don't give us what we want. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in. And you see, this is the interesting thing. Nigerians are very passionate about these national institutions, and in particular, our boys. Nigerians are very, very supportive of our boys in uniform. And so that's why, and this is known, what the strategy is cannot really be immediately known now. But the strategy that led him to, and Yakub brought it up again, the strategy that led the Chief of Army Staff to speak publicly and people are now considering as dampening morale, Yemi said from the beginning, there's nothing he's saying here that the general is not aware of, that doesn't know. The man is a general. But it still was done. The commander-in-chief hasn't made any comment. Boko, could this be strategy too? Are you trying to draw Boko Haram out? That let them think that this is the best time to attack, as somebody said. That come. I don't know. I'm just now casting about.
I was lucky. I did my graduate TC on national security, and I don't think security issues are things that should be discussed the way the general went about it.
And general knows. He knows this. He knows this.
The military something.
Like you don't talk security in the marketplace.
The military something is like a pyramid, and it's hierarchical. If you want to fish out bad eggs in the military between now and Friday,
yes,
all you need to do is give out marching orders.
Yes.
To platoon commander, from commander. It is hierarchy. You know somebody you gave order to yesterday, you could not carry it out or you refuse to do it, it's a bad egg, you mark him down. But this is Nigeria. If you go through that route, that is when ethnicity will be brought into play. Religion will be brought into political persuasion. There was a time in this country when we relied solely on Langtan for military leadership, and they delivered. What happened to them? Who decimated them in the armed forces? So we need to sit down and do a lot of, rethinking, rejigging of the whole system.
Ben, did I hear Ben in Makurdi? Good morning.
Langtan.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I've been following your program. I really appreciate what you were discussing there. My contribution to this fact is that I would love a situation whereby we Nigerians will understand that we have allowed ourselves as Nigerians to allow the politics of Nigerians to go deep into us. Because we have gotten to a point whereby, as Nigerians, we know very well that we have the right and we belong to various political groups. And we have allowed this politics to go deep into our security systems as well. Like you see that at a certain point, even when a certain group is trying to fight a certain crime, but there might be people that in that same group, in that same security outfit, that maybe have loyalists who are on a different side. And definitely, they will want to also play to the gallery of the people whom they are loyal to, who they are on the same camp with. And that is one thing that has been creating a lot of difficulty in fighting this insurgency. Because as long as the government tries fighting them, there are people who are out there who are on a different platform from maybe where the incumbent leadership are. And they will do all they can to make sure that they see that they thwart the effort of that. So for it to look as if the present government is actually not working or not doing the best or is not capable of protecting its citizens, which is very, very bad. So I love the situation. I would love a situation where we Nigerians will keep politics out of governance. When it comes to governance, when it comes to the life of people, we shouldn't joke with the life of citizens. We should keep politics aside and do the needful to make sure that the life of Nigeria is secured.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben.
Let me quickly respond to this. On the 16th of January this year, some national newspapers published an article I wrote to commemorate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And the major question I posed, or the major poster I gave to those in authority, yes, let's remember those who are gone, who are long dead. But let us also remember even more those who have served and are still living, but are living in conditions that are objectionable to any reasonable human being. Let us also focus on those who are currently serving now, so that they will have confidence in the system to take care of them. Look, the issue of politicizing the military is simply because There are soldiers and officers who think when certain people are in command positions, they will benefit. But if you have a welfare package that cuts across, nobody will be thinking about political parties in the military. Today, the major cause of the discontent in the military is because the welfare now and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So when you do that, it will not matter who is in government. How do they do it in other countries?
Yeah.
It will not matter. But when they think that they can only benefit, because they see their colleagues who are benefiting because they belong to one caucus or the other, they think, well, it should be our turn also. If this man becomes president, it's likely we'll replace this chief with that one, and then it will also trickle down to us.
Indeed, I mean, there are people who say that the onset of the of this administration, of the Buhari administration, that now it's our turn. So I think I'll just leave it there. I'm not talking about now, the first time, 2015. There are those who are saying, now it's our turn.
Look
at where we are now.
No,
Look at where we are now.
It's a jargon in a local parlance. Even in the civil service, wait for your turn.
Well, you know, so, well, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it here. And I just wish they'd clear this up, because it's disturbing to a lot of Nigerians, this whole matter about the turbulence within the army that is being caused by revelations, that's the only way to put it, of the Chief of Army Staff, and deafening silence from other aspects, which would then seem to sort of suggest that the man is on point. Thank you very much, Mr. Yemi Makpadeon, strategy and governance expert. Madam Ahmed Moyosore Jaji, political affairs analyst. Thank you very much as well. Thank you very much for sharing your perspectives. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.